Hello, you're listening to a Talk Spirit Anime Cast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
And in the background, we have the Hawaiian shirt. Since everybody keeps asking, Andrew, what about the Hawaiian shirt? You're not wearing the Hawaiian shirt. I thought I'd leave it up there. Just leave it up there. It makes its appearance. Anyways, welcome to the Talk Spirit Anime Cast. We're going to be talking about our summer 2024 anime season first impressions, or at least discuss them. We're on part 3, and we're pretty sure at this point it's going to be 4 parts. Because there's just so many shows to cover, and I think it's better this way that we're not rushing through these shows and try to get through them as quick as possible so we can discuss them fully. And yes, by the time we finish, we'll be ready to do our reviews. Just cycle the content, man. You just cycle it. You didn't double it up. But yes, as per usual, we're at talkspirit.com. That's where all of our links are. Social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us. Greatly appreciate the support. Sorry about last week. No video for the YouTube viewers.
Yeah, well,
even though I put it in the description, sorry, it got lost. It didn't get lost. I literally didn't press the record button, I guess. Because I had the cancellation of the first recording and that I was going to restart it, and apparently I didn't restart it, even though I thought that I clicked it. Maybe I was streaming the whole time and I didn't realize it.
Maybe.
Thank goodness YouTube requires you to hit it on their end to start streaming. Otherwise, we're just going to see you're just broadcasting to the world. Not there's anything to hide. Anyways, yeah.
Well, I thought my explanation was a little bit better.
What was your explanation? Okay, I couldn't render you that
yeah,
week?
you couldn't render me, and so you had to cancel it.
So you're saying that you as an AI had a better idea than me?
Of course.
It's become sentient. It's time for it to take over.
That's because you have you designed me to be this way.
The AI has finally decided to take over, guys. It's over. It's all over. Anyways, yes, we have a lot to go through, so we should just jump right into it. We're going to kick things off with a banger. Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. Last week's episode was pretty crazy. Unfortunately, I think Chris did not watch that episode, so it's kind of hard for me to dance around that one, because the episode he watched left on a quite a cliffhanger. But yes, the series opens up with Kazuhiko Nukumizu.
Hey, I was busy doing Monogatari and Oshinoko. Okay.
See, that's always an excuse anymore. Do you guys get that now?
I promise. You asked me.
You wanted me to do this.
I promised you.
You didn't want me to do this. No, what I asked you to do is both.
Yes.
So your argument fails. Everything that I tell you to watch, you're supposed to watch. You can't say I didn't because of this one. Anyways,
I did watch this.
Nukumizu. Nukumizu is, he's at a restaurant at some point. He kind of muses about the fact that, it's that time of life, youth, kids in school, and they're all starting to get, in relationships, and there's love everywhere, and, people's hearts are being broken and everything, and he's even wondering for himself if he'll ever, find love. But yes, he's at a restaurant at some point. He ends up overhearing one of his classmates, Ana Yanami, and she's like a very popular girl in their class. I mean, she's like basically like the idol. Yeah, she's essentially telling her childhood friend, go. You really like this. What was it, Karen her name was, or something like that? You love Karen. Go see her. She's about to go. She's like, apparently she's a transfer student or an overseas student, and she's apparently going to be leaving here soon. So go tell her that you love her. He can't. She's like pushing him. He's like, but go. And so he finally gets up and he goes. And then as he's sitting there, like, hey man, this is awkward. Act like you didn't see that. He's like continuing at his table, and then suddenly he looks over and she's eyeballing the guy's glass, and she pulls it over, and then he's got like the tip of the straws all chewed on because he was chewing on it, and she's like puts it in her mouth and starts drinking it, and he sees the whole thing. She notices that he's looking, and then she just spits all out. And he's like, hey, act like I didn't see it. Act like you didn't see it. And she comes over and sits down right at his table, orders some food, and just starts just going off about how this guy, Sosuke, is his, her childhood friend, and she absolutely loved him. But then he likes, this Karen girl, and, he never noticed her and all that kind of stuff. And she just starts rambling. Well, she didn't have the money to pay for her bill. So they make an agreement that she's going to drop by with him at lunch every day at school and make him food and to kind of repay him. And so he like actually tallies how much each thing that she makes for him, how much it costs, and it's, taking that bill down. Well, over time, every single time she shows up, she complains about Sosuke and Karen inviting her to go to karaoke, and she's like, they're all lovey-dovey, and I hate watching it. It makes me sick, and I'm so jealous and all that kind of crap. Eventually, we get to meeting some other girls. One is Lemon Yakishio, and she loves her childhood friend as well. And so they try to see if they can, get them some time alone together. And so they invite her to the literature club that they're a part of now. And once they're there, the actual club leader, she's like trying to bait them, like, man, you two look like a couple. And eventually the guy's like, no, we're not a couple. I've never been good enough for her. And she's like, oh, you guys should be a couple. And he's like, no, I already have a girlfriend. So that's Lemon. She gets shut down right there. So now we got 2 losing heroines at this point. And then it goes into what Chris has watched before we get into Chika Komari and Tsukinoki. And they both like the student council president. And eventually Komari confessing her love as well. Which I'm sure Chris can guess is not going to end well.
No.
Because she's on the cover art. And the cover says 2 losing heroines. It's always that question mark of like, how is it going to end is the big question mark. And what I've watched that Chris hasn't watched is we have a little scene where everybody starts to wonder if Nukumizu and Yanami are going in a relationship because people keep seeing them everywhere together. And very quickly hear some girls gossiping about the fact that this Nukumizu, he's not good enough for Yanami. She's too popular and she's too beautiful. And so he starts to push her away. Well, he also went to it was part of Konami's episode is where they go to the beach together and have some fun out there doing some riding and stuff like that. So that's the setup so far with Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. It's basically a guy that seems to be a magnet for girls that have poor relationship experiences. And so they all kind of divulge their issues with him, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He's more worried about the perfect place to consume water in the school. He's a water fountain expert, apparently.
Mizu is water.
Yeah, that's true. What's the Nuku part then?
I don't know.
Bad water?
I wanted to go.
Water?
I wanted to look that up just to find that out.
I wouldn't doubt it. So what's the point in Lemon being called Lemon though?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
I haven't figured out the names of the girls yet.
Because she's cute and sour.
Maybe.
She's tan though. That's nothing to do with Lemon either though. So, what's your
she's
thoughts
sunshine.
on
Okay. So. I love this show.
Talk in the mic though, because the microphone's not up there.
I see peaking. I'm almost to the peaking point. I don't know.
Because you can't decide how close you want the microphone.
I'm trying.
Chris has been doing this for what, 13 years
Yeah,
now,
right.
He still has no sense of microphone.
It drives me nuts.
It drives me nuts because I have to edit it.
I know.
you think you got it bad.
I hear about it every week.
So now you're peaking.
Now I'm peaking.
You just got to push it back a little bit when you start yelling.
Anyway, no, I really enjoy this show. It's been an absolute treat. I love that each of the characters, they each have their own little shining moment that they kind of add to the...
I gotta say,
yeah, they're shiny.
Sorry.
I absolutely got a kick out of the what is it, the nurse lady that is kind of keeping track of the kind of love polygon that's
for
kind
that
of
one scene, yes. And she's never been in the show ever since.
No, she was in there for a couple scenes.
She came up for that one scene to mention the fact that she's very familiar with the ceiling, all the stains in the ceiling. Mm-hmm. Very familiar with them from all of her time on her back in there. And then, yes, that she wants to bug all the rooms.
And she talked about the, she was the one that sent Lemon to go and complete her mission.
Yeah, that was the same episode, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they were showing that she's plotting it, yes.
Okay, so, yeah. Anyway, I like her. So, the whole 2 scenes that she's in there, she's useless, but I like her. But everybody else I've had a lot of fun with. I like a lot of the extra characters. So yeah, I've had a blast, and it looks fantastic.
And you don't like the sister? Why would you not like the sister?
The sister was goofy. I loved it.
Who hasn't showed up?
I said the side characters.
No, I think there's a few things that make this show great, and one is that it looks gorgeous. This show, the directing, visuals, the style, the character designs. I think it was a character designer that did Legacy Coil, so the character designs are really fantastic. Just overall visually, music, audio, the voice acting. Oh man, this recent episode, this just emotion that was coming out of Komari and Yanami was just chef kiss. Like, it just so good, so good. Even Nukumizu had a little bit of an outburst moment there that sounded really good. So great voicing, but yeah, just overall the presentation is phenomenal. this show is sort of like a mixture of multiple storytelling elements that I really do like. It's literally a rom-com. It's almost a parody of rom-com, but it's not. I don't know if you get this sense or not, because it likes to hit every single rom-com trope, but it's presented in a way that makes it feel like it's still real. Like, again, and a lot of that has to do with the presentation and the actual acting and everything like that that's going along with it. But it's telling a real story about this guy that is just, for some reason, a magnet to all these girls that have love issues. But in them having love issues, they're all tropes. Yanami, the opening scene is literally her saying, Sosuke, go after the girl you love. She even points out that she's a transfer student from overseas and to go before she goes back. But then she doesn't go anywhere. like it's doing the trope that this transfer student has to go back to their home country, but then she's there for the rest of the show. It's like she's still there. She didn't go anywhere. So it's almost like it's playing off that joke that, you know, she's got to leave eventually. I mean, she can go eventually, but kind of made it out like you have to go now. Like you have to go now. So I don't know. Maybe she decided not to leave the country once he's confessed or something like that. It can go with that whole thing, but it's still a trope. And then you have, yes, the Lemon is having her issue where she can't confess to the guy that she loves, and she's trying to get help for doing that. Come to find out, it's the whole trope where he felt like he was never good enough for her, so he found love elsewhere. And he's been avoiding her this whole time. And, I mean, like, even this recent episode, they had the trope where, you know, typically whenever there's, like, a major dramatic beat happens, like a scene where somebody confesses or somebody breaks up with somebody, and then it's, like, scene change. And then you ever have that thought, like, how do they conclude that conversation? How do they separate ways? That was a very high dramatic point of the story, and they just cut scene. Well, literally, you have this same dramatic beat happens, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Yanami's like, "So how do we wrap up? How do we conclude this conversation?" They're like, "I don't know." It's like I laughed out loud because I'm like, I so hate whenever shows do that. I was talking about that last season with Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, because they had that really dramatic moment where she was saying that she, you know, would be nothing without her, whatever, and then suddenly scene change. It's like, how did they conclude that conversation? There was no way that conversation concluded the way that it did. There's so many tropes in here, and I mean, they loved pointing them out too. I mean, oh, the student council, the girl from the student council office, like suddenly she's like comes out of this little locker that's in the literature club room, and she walks around like a zombie, and she's like this really hot gyaru girl that's talking about, you know, having to get an agreement for them to be able to have like this whole training camp thing. And she just looks like a zombie, and she comes up close to Nukumizu and is just like, "You must pay for that," or whatever. And he's like, "Why won't she blink?" She's literally like a caricature of the student council that wants to shut down the club or whatever. It's like, it's so like goofy, but it never feels cartoonish. It never feels like a dumb, you know, just straight comedy show. It still has a sense of a, you know, not really, can't really say slice of life, but a nice little rom-com series. But anyways, that part of the story I really love, because it does it where it's not overplaying itself, but at the same time it's nodding to all these tropes in a way that still fits within the story and the characters and what they're going through. Then you have, yes, the romance part of it, which is these girls that are all going through some really kind of heartbreaking moments. Again, like that whole recent episode with Yanami absolutely broke my heart. Komari absolutely broke my heart. And Lemon, this girl just trying so hard to get back up on her feet after what she kind of experienced. It is interesting technically that we are getting the perspective of the dumped characters, because typically, and I've made this argument several times before, especially with the childhood friend characters, they typically lose the battle with the romance. But you watch all these shows that are rom-coms or romance shows, and they get to the end of the show, and then somebody gets their heart broken, and then it focuses it on the person that won, and the story's happy hunky-dory ending. This show is starting from that point. So, like, with Yami perspective, it's like, at first I was like, I didn't really get much from her story, because it's literally the first thing we see her, she's breaking, you know, she's being dumped. And so I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have a sense of what she went through. I had a little more sense with Lemon, because, again, she was asking for help from Nukumizu, and they were helping her out. So we at least got, like, an episode of hers. Komari was a little bit more heartbreaking, just because he's a lot more timid. But for all of them, their stories are already kind of pretty much completed. So the question mark is, I guess, what the story does going forward. And it seems like so far is really just Nukumizu almost helping them get over their loss, but almost in a sense of getting not helping them let go of it. Really, at least with Yanami so far has been that, and Lemon technically is. Because Lemon's not wanting to give up. I mean, you mentioned the fact that the teacher's literally like, I'm going to be there to kind of root you on, girl. Go, girl. It almost feels like Lemon's not giving up yet on Ayano, who she really likes. And again, Yanami, it's literally a case of people seeing Nukumizu and her getting together.
I thought she was going after a new goal.
Could be. I mean, it just seemed like she wasn't really kind of giving up yet, or maybe just at least moving forward. But I almost honestly thought that she was going after Nukumizu. It felt like that, especially since the scene cuts to what the teacher was writing down, which is this idea of possibly the two of them getting together.
Right.
Because she's bugging all the offices. But anyways, it's a sense of them kind of moving forward and what they do going forward. My question mark really is that going to be it? Is the how they move forward? Is it going to be them all falling in love with Nukumizu? Is Nukumizu just always going to be sort of the, I guess, the person to vent to? Is he always going to be the one that he's just standing there for them to come over and complain to? They kind of wrapped it into the idea that Nukumizu is also a losing a dumped as well. I was almost going to say losing heroine. He's a losing hero. But I'll be very curious what they do going forward. But so far, it's just worked so well, and a lot of that has to do with the visuals. It's the chemistry. It's the writing. The character interactions are phenomenal. This one I've kind of argued several times is pretty much. It's trying so hard to overtake Alia. Like, Alia is literally my favorite new show this season. Like, yes, I have my Monogataris and all these other stuff. That's the returner shows that I'm absolutely adoring. But for the new shows, Alia was taking the cake, and it feels like this one is trying to take it from it. I can't say that it has overtaken Alia yet, but this recent episode was trying so hard. If it weren't for the fact that this recent episode of Alia had more Yuki in it, that recent episode of Too Many Losing Heroines would have taken it over. This show is just firing on all cylinders. I love the interactions and stuff like that. Lemon is definitely taking the cake for me. Her early introduction was just dorky. They had this whole scene where they're locked up in this storage room, and she's asking about, to help her, and then at some point they find out they're locked in there, and then they're like, she's getting heat stroke, and for some reason when she gets heat stroke, she gets super delirious, and so he's spraying her with this like cool down spray, and she's just going, ah, and she's screaming suggestively, and then she thinks that he is her friend who's a girl, and so she starts to go to take off all of her clothes, and he's like, no, you can't do that. Then she starts like clomping on him and everything, and then of course the teacher shows up out of nowhere and is like, oh, I'm interrupting something, let me know when you're done. Just walks away. It's super dorky. Yeah, the teachers are very interesting, so I'll be looking forward to seeing more of them. But no, yeah, the sister was great too, because he's apparently always been alone, and so she's like super worried about him, and so she's constantly talking about, did you find a friend? You found friends? Oh, you need to find friends. And then
now you're lying about it.
She's apparently told the entire like neighborhood shopping association that he's not had friends, and so they were all worried about him too. And so it's like, girl's just looking out for him. Yeah, at the train station, she's like, did you talk to anybody? Yeah, I talked to like 5 people. And she's like, you don't have to lie to me. It's like, I'm trying to get, is the sister like worried for him, or is she like yandere or what? Because that was a kind of a yandere look.
It was.
It was super interesting. But no, I'm loving it. Again, it's up there. It's fighting for number 1, my favorite show of the season. I cannot suggest it enough. It's just got everything going for it. It's broke my heart. It's made me laugh several times, and it's just gorgeous. So definitely looking forward to it. More of it, anyways. Any closing thoughts?
Nah, I love it.
I do have one argument. There was one moment where I was disappointed by the visuals. They went to the beach. And Lemon had a very nice tan line. Tracksuit tan line, they nailed it. But her feet were tan. The girl ain't running track barefooted, I'm sorry. Attention to detail. Not that I'm a feet person, but when the shot is literally her feet, it's hard not to notice. I mean, you could be looking at her calves or something like that, but there's not much to look at besides that her feet are tan. Unless, like, after she's done running a bunch, she goes and tans her feet.
Maybe.
She just sticks him in the tanning bed alone. I want a shot of a tanning bed and just she's sitting on the side of it and she's got her feet sticking in there and that's it. I mean, she pulled off that perfect without a tan line or anything. That's actually really good. The whole scene with her running with Nikumizu, God, that was such a good scene. Just grabs him and starts running and he falls over and she falls. And then she does the whole, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, she wants you to pamper her. She wants you to pick her up. Oh, I wanted to throw something at the screen. I'm like, it's such an MC moment. And again, it's a trope. It's a trope. They even did the if you can't find anybody else, I'll marry you trope. I'm like, God, they're just doing all the tropes, and it's so weird how it just all works so perfectly. So, anyways, I could talk on and on about Makeine. It's a really good show. Too many losing heroines. Highly suggest it. Check it out. I guess we can get into the rest of the shows. There's some other shows on this list. Let's go to Narenare. And Chris did not watch Narenare. Did you watch any of the... Oh, you watched Mayonaka Punch. I was going to ask if you watched any of the PA Works shows. Nare. I didn't do a video on this one, I don't think. Yeah, because I don't even have pictures. I don't even have pictures. I don't care. I'm going to see if I can do this without character names, because I don't want to pull up the character names. It essentially opens up showing this one performance of cheerleaders, and as they're performing in front of this big crowd, it's a big competition. At some point, this girl is being, launched, and she gets distracted, and then she fails her landing or something, and they completely lose the match. Cut forward, and she is not allowed to rejoin the club because she has to recover. We'll find out later on that she has... I had it for a second. I had the name of it in my head for a second, and it went away. It's essentially a condition where people can't perform because they recall a mess up or a trauma of some sort, and I keep wanting to say spits or something like that, but it's a condition where you keep recalling it and it causes you to mess up again, and then that'll cause you to mess up again because you'll recall that you messed up again, and it's just this downward spiral. And she's having that problem, so she can't rejoin the cheer club. And at the same time, she's visiting a friend who apparently she can't do cheer anymore either because she got an illness or something like that. And so she visits her on a regular basis. And over time, at some point, she ends up spotting this one girl that is the people that run around and jump over buildings and over walls and stuff. Parkourist, whatever. She's not a parkourist, but she does parkour going to and from school. Apparently, some people are filming her and posting on social media. That catches the attention of this Brazilian chick that is a transfer student that is trying to go viral as well. So she's trying to find footage of her as well. And they get wrapped up in this girl's whole thing of making a viral video. And that eventually leads into the idea of them doing a viral video or do videos on them doing cheerleading. So it's basically all these individuals coming together and doing this together. It eventually helps her get over her trauma because she starts doing the cheerleading with them, and yeah, them all doing cheerleading viral videos. Well, at the same time, the main girl is trying to try out for the cheerleading squad at her school, but that's not going anywhere because of her trauma. So yeah, that's the story so far. I'm very mixed on the show. Visual wise, it's not PA Works' best. It's got PA Works design style, like the character designs and stuff like that, and their usual kind of flair of the setting and stuff like that. But it's super flat neon. Like typically with a lot of PA Works stuff, they with this certain style of characters, they're a little bit more rounded about it. It's a lot more detail put into it. This one's very flat and it's very neon. The outlines are very prominent. I'm very, very mixed on the style. I think it's fine. It doesn't bother me, but at the same time, it is not their usual high polish, I guess I would say, which I would kind of hope for a slice of life setting. Like I can expect, I understand Mayonaka Punch because it's very kind of vampires and neon, all that kind of stuff. It kind of works for that style. Even Sakuna this season as well. It's a very kind of unique style that's not going for realistic. It's kind of its own setting. This one, again, be more slice of life. I kind of expect it to be something more the quality of something like Shirobako or something like that. But again, it doesn't bother me. It's fine. It looks good. Except for the CGI. cheerleading performances. I could do that without that. To give you an idea how much that cheerleading in CGI does technically ruin things, and I'm not alone on this because I've seen a lot of other people saying the same exact thing. It was very hard to tell who was in the opening scene when they're showing this trauma. In the opening scene, they're literally performing, and then suddenly she gets launched up here, she gets distracted, and then apparently she just fails it miserably. And it kind of made it out like as she was up in the air, she's looking down at the center group, and the person that was being pulled up on the center group was falling over, and that's what distracted her. And as she's doing this, and they're falling over here, what is the assumption? Well, cut forward, and now we see a picture of her in a photo with the girl that's ill, that's stuck in bed, and they have a trophy. And then she's now in this room with this girl that seems like she's paralyzed. She's not unable to walk. She has to be, wheelchaired everywhere. And I'm like, okay, so did she fall on this girl? I can't really tell because I can't tell the characters because they're all CGI in the intro. I don't know if that's her. And so for the longest time, I thought she injured the middle girl, and that's why she keeps coming there to visit her in this hospital bed or whatever, doing this recovery. And then I come to find out later on, no, she got injured back in middle school. The picture was from them in middle school. And this injury that at the end opening scene was in high school, first years. And I'm like, if it wasn't CGI, I probably would have told it wasn't her, but I couldn't. That was like for the longest time, I felt like she was coming there because she felt bad. And it never mentioned it. And I'm like, okay, never mind, it's something different. Anyways, that aside. So far, the story is okay. Again, the assumption coming into a show like this, where it's a cheerleading show, your assumption is that, okay, a bunch of bad stuff happened in the past, she's going to get over her trauma, and then they get the band together, they all join the school's cheerleading squad, and they go to the nationals. No, it doesn't seem like that. It seems like this was what I was focusing on, which is being a part of the school's cheerleading squad. And then because this person comes out of nowhere and wants to go viral with different videos, they kind of get just swept into doing cheerleading apparently on social media and network and on videos and whatnot online. It seems the direction it's going, and through that she's kind of gotten over trauma. But it also seems like it's a culmination of everybody seeking out their dreams. It's almost like a jellyfish can't swim in the night thing, where each one of them has their own thing, and it does seem to be tied in with social media, but they each have a dream. You have this one girl, seems like she was a failed idol. She wants to get into singing, but her singing's not good, so she's doing the music composing. Again, you got the main character, she had this trauma with her cheerleading, but she does want to start cheerleading again, but she can't get into the school's version. You have the main girl, the Brazilian girl, she just wants to make online videos. She wants to make something that goes viral. Each one of them has something they want to do. Oh, you have the parkour girl. She just wants to hear the other girl singing. I think its major problem is that I'm not really connecting too much with really any of the characters besides the composer, singer, and the parkour girl, which I hated the parkour girl at first. The reason why the parkour girl started working for me at some point was because she's really kind of off-putting. Like, she just doesn't want to talk to anybody. She just kind of ignores everybody. Then at some point you have the episode where it finally shows her perspective. And the entire time, yes, she couldn't speak up even though she wanted to. It was one of those aspects where she wants to say something, but she just can't get the words out. And so she just looks like she's ignoring everybody. And so you have this whole thing where it basically personifies her internal thought processes as this little chibi self that's sitting on her head. And so when you have one of those scenes where this girl's trying to talk to her and she just kind of stares at her and then walks away from her, the chibi on the head's like, no, go back. She wants to talk to you. Go back. And it was kind of cute. It was like this whole cute thing where every time she's just ignored somebody or was super rude, this inner self's up there going, no, be nice to them. Talk to them, whatever. It was cute. But yeah, that kind of made me like her. And again, I like the girl that she's totally yearning over. But other than that, I haven't really connected with any of the characters. I'm not feeling the chemistry is really what it is. Like I felt a little bit of chemistry when you had them all kind of finally together and you got the bands together and everybody's trying to support each other, but it feels very surface level. I don't I don't really get any of their connections, other than the fact that they just, for some reason, all kind of ran into each other at some point, all seemingly kind of connected to this, everybody, the fact that everybody's seen this girl parkouring and they were all chasing after her and they somehow all end up kind of working together. Why some of them are helping the Brazilian girl make her video, I don't know. They just somehow end up starting to hang out together. And it hasn't really felt, I haven't really felt the connection of the characters at all. So it kind of is just, it's not really working. Like nothing about the show is really working for me. And even the performances, being that me and Chris specifically, we both were close to somebody that was big in cheerleading for the longest time, and so I know a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and a lot of the choreography seems pretty legit. I mean, it's not like super detailed or anything about what they're doing, but it's close enough, and so I'm enjoying that aspect of it. But it's very surface level. So again, it's not something that I'm like very like super engaged with. Not that I was like a super fan of it or anything like that. I just have a knowledge of it. But yeah, just overall, it's not doing it. Which was kind of bummer because it was one of the, like I said, I was more interested in Makeine Punch out of the three, and this is kind of the one that was like close second. So it's almost feel like I'm doing a reverse, which kind of it still leaves it in the second point anyways. But I wasn't Makeine Punch, Narenare, and when I was beforehand, I was Makeine Punch, Narenare, and Sakana, and now when I've ended the season, now it's Sakana's the best one so far, and yes, Narenare is probably second, and then Makeine Punch, but. Yeah, it's just, it's fine. In the end, so far, it's just fine. But not enough that's probably going to keep my interest. So, we'll see. We'll see. Isekai Suicide Squad. We've been putting this off for a long time. Which is funny because I've been putting it off, but yet I haven't been actually watching it at all. So, it doesn't really matter at all. I've only watched like I watched the first 3 episodes when it first came out, and I have yet to watch another episode of it. So, I guess that's a sign. But no, Isekai Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad Isekai. This one is being done by Switch Studio. It's on Max and Hulu, I believe. It's only running for 10 episodes. I probably could have finished it. It's probably done by now. Anyways, it's an original series. Not really original because it's based on the Suicide Squad. But yeah, it's apparently written. It's apparently written by Tapai Nakatsuki, which is the creator of ReZero. Whether you want to believe that or not, if they just slapped his name on there, who knows? But yes, it essentially follows the Suicide Squad as they all get round. I'm assuming they're Suicide Squads because it's called Suicide Squad. I know that Harley's a part of the Suicide Squad. I know King Shark was. I don't really know any of the other ones. I think they're all part of it though. But yeah, they all get captured by the government, and they get sent through this portal that they manage to open up and sent to this other world where there's these two nations that are fighting each other, and they're supposed to go there to do something, but their leader dies, like right off the bat, so they don't know what they're supposed to be doing there. They just know that if they don't get to their destination fast enough, their collars explode and they die. They end up running into Rick Flag, who is a part of the government group that's sending them there, and so he's kind of helped them get to the location, but then they end up getting captured by this kingdom, and Rick Flag gets taken off somewhere, and then they start working for the kingdom in order to beat the bad guys, which kind of find out it's a bunch of other people that were also brought there in order to work for the government, but they've kind of defected, I think. So yeah, the oddity that comes from this whole situation is that it seems like ever since they've come there, some of them that the ones because they have powers or whatever, and it seems like they're manifesting different takes on their own powers. So that's kind of an oddity there. Like one guy was like, he can only like manipulate things, but now he can manipulate other things. Harley Quinn seems to have more strength than normal. The shark guy, I think they imply that he's able to heal from lethal wounds or something. I don't know. So it seems like their powers themselves are changing that now they're in this new world. So that's the gist so far. How'd you enjoy the first 3 minutes, you say?
Yeah, roughly 5 minutes or so.
Well, so you enjoyed that really slow fight between Katana and Harley Quinn?
Yeah, something like that.
I was like, I'm so glad I wasn't the only one that noticed that. Like, it seems like everybody I've talked to so far is like, yeah, it feels slow.
Yeah,
like really slow.
It was funny because we got off on a tangent on this one. We were talking about Wistaria and the absolutely beautiful animation in that one. And we got into this kind of a side tangent, and I asked because I think Andrew was mentioning something about the overly animated, and I brought
too much animation.
and I brought up Suicide Squad, and I asked him, well, what did you think of the at least the beginning moments of Suicide Squad? And we got off on this kind of random tangent about how absurdly slow that.
Okay, I won't follow you on absurdly.
Oh no, I think it was absurdly.
I'm going with really slow.
I'm going with absurdly. I just watching her kind of walk up the whatever the heck it was that she was climbing or something, and kind of go down to do it was almost like they did a mocap on it, and they were trying to keep it realistic, and at the same time it made it feel really
And it wasn't as bad
slow.
in the second fight scene where you had everybody busting out of or coming out of the helicopter and fighting the monsters out there. But it was, even there was kind of slow. It was like, normally this kind of would proceed a little faster than this.
And I the thought had crossed my mind that maybe they were kind of trying to eat up some, well,
At the time.
Yeah, to pad the time, to kind of eat up some extra seconds to kind of move it along a little bit slower. And it's like, it just, I know that they weren't going for making it feel action packed, obviously, because otherwise they would have been moving a lot more
typically,
quicker.
and that's weird thing. This being like a kind of a more Western property or whatever, and having so many like actual live action films where what do they do in live action films? They often cut frames to make things go faster. And it's like, this feels like they just did the opposite. They're like, let's use AI to pad this more.
They went right back to, going back to the just before then when they were on the Roadster, and it was like that felt high paced.
Yeah,
and going from that right into this, it was like, oh,
with the piano steering wheel.
Yeah. It was absurd, but it's all right. It's Joker. It's Joker. What the heck not?
I don't know if it's Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad Joker, but it's Joker. Yeah, he's a weirdo.
But yeah, what I seen of it looked good, except for the really slow kind of battle that I seen. So
yeah, I will say this show had kind of its ups and downs so far. It's been so long since I did a whole video on the first 3 episodes because I did a full dump on those, and I haven't really gotten back to it. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the show. I feel like the show is like okay. Like I think my thumbnail, I think I just put in there, it's okay. Like this is a very, right there in the middle type of show where it's got enough in there that's kind of entertaining, but at the same time it doesn't have a grab. And I think that's my biggest disappointment. I expected this. Let me be perfectly clear. I expected this. You have a supposedly Japanese author. Supposedly Tape is working on this for the writing. He is using a Western property that he does not own that has a lot of control over it. Like, they're not going to let him do something crazy with these characters and this property and whatnot. They're going to probably be very strict about what he does with the characters. And that kind of sucks because Tape is known for doing some really off-the-wall stuff and just throwing stuff at the wall and making it explode. At least based on my experience with ReZero and additionally with Vivi. He's really good at sort of twisting things here and there when he wants to. And for him to seemingly, again, based on the first 3 episodes, seemingly doesn't really seem to have much control over this because it just doesn't seem like it's doing enough with the characters and the world and whatnot. So far, it is cool. Good introductions of each character. I like all the characters. The Suicide Squad group is good. I like each one of them. They have a spunk to them. Oddities about them. I'm really liking King Shark out of nowhere. I didn't really think I would care much for King Shark. He's just kind of he's very simple, but yet kind of brutal. And then, of course, Harley Quinn is, like I joked about, legitly, like, she's just like a trigger character out of nowhere, and she's just so great. I've always enjoyed Harley Quinn. Despite not being a big fan of this franchise or really anything Marvel and all that stuff. Is it even Marvel, or is it the other group?
DC.
DC? Is it DC? I think it's
Joker is
I think
Batman,
it's DC.
so yeah,
yeah,
DC.
Yeah, it's DC. Okay, sorry. I know that there's a tribalistic thing between the two sides. I'm sorry I got that one wrong. I was correcting myself. I just needed some help. Not a big fan, obviously, because I just got that all mixed up. But I did like Harley Quinn back in the day. I've liked a few iterations
Harley
of
Quinn,
her.
I think that the reason she works is she is just a spitfire, kind of just goes nuts and revels in just pure chaos.
Yeah, she's
and
a
I
bad
think
girl.
That she got
that bad girl vibe with the bat and everything.
I wouldn't put her in the femme fatale category.
No,
She
does not have enough elegance to be that.
No, she just is punk. She's punk.
Yeah, punk. She's punk.
She's
very
rebel.
she's very punk, and that kind of fits to my joke about it. Her basically being like Lucy from Cyberpunk. Like she's got that whole like punkness to her. But anyways, that all aside, I like her character, but that's it. Like the show itself just isn't doing anything for me, at least for those episodes, because it really just feels like, okay, you take this cast of kind of tried and true characters, they have their setups, their introductions, which again they kind of fall into what they are. That's Harley Quinn. Got it. Yep, that's Harley Quinn. And then they go isekai into this other world, and it's literally just go to the destination, follow what the government tells you. There's two factions in this other world. They're fighting each other. They get caught. They bust out of the jail, which was a little... The whole bit with them fleeing the jail was pretty fun, I'll be honest. Then they get shipped off to the other kingdom, the actual queen themselves, and they find out this whole thing about the defecting people, and they have to do it right and fix their problems. It just is... There's nothing else. Like, it's just... keep walking around. There's no twists and turns to the story so far. Nothing's really grabbing me. There's no hook. The only hook that I can possibly see is the whole aspect of their powers possibly evolving in some way, but I might be looking too much into that. But again, like I said, it's not that it's bad. It's just not, it doesn't have a grab yet. And it could have that grab eventually. I haven't gotten that far into it. I'm not sure if I will get back into it. But if I do, I'll let people be, I'll update people, but for now it's just kind of it's just there. It's just there. Some fun action scenes and whatnot. It's fun. So it's okay.
It's okay.
It's just okay. There you go. Suicide Squad Isekai. Check that out if that is interesting to you. What next, Chris?
Don't know.
VTuber. Chris, are you ready for two of Andrew's favorite genres in all of history in Japanese culture? VTubers and drunk woman humor.
Here we go.
Two of and memes. Three things that Andrew loves more than anything else. Memes not technically a Japanese thing, but I will classify the drunk female woman character archetype and the VTuber stuff as Japanese born. I'm just going to call it, it's theirs. Anyways, VTuber legend, how I went viral after forgetting to turn off my stream. I'm going to preface this first impressions with one key thing here. I just said all that as a joke. I am not a fan of it, and I'm going to fully acknowledge that stuff. So if you like those things a lot and you don't like criticism or my opinion on that, you might as well skip this because you're not going to hear anything that you like. If you're a big fan of this show or like those things, you might as well skip forward. Anyways, this show is running on Crunchyroll, done by TNK. It's based on a light novel, comedy slice of life. It's the genres. This follows Awayuki Kokorone, and she is a VTuber for the group Live On. And she is doing her daily routine of streaming and live streaming, and she's got this character. For those who don't know what a VTuber is, I probably should explain it for the older people that listen to us still, because we do have a few older people that do listen to us, and they might not know what VTubers are. But just not going to assume. Essentially, it's people that will... the concept is they take a character... You can have like PNG tubers too. People have a character drawn for them, so they have a 2D drawn character, and then somebody with some experience with 3D art and whatnot will take that character and produce a motion.
It's almost like a puppet
Yeah, like the image itself is movable while still retaining its proportions and whatnot. And they will use a mode capture to capture themselves on camera, and then it puts it into the computer where then it will place that character they drew on top of them. So it's a moving anime character based on their motions in front of the camera. And so instead of them broadcasting live themselves in the corner talking to their fans, it'll be an anime character down the corner moving to their motions, whatever the mocap actually grabs. Long explanation aside, that was probably the worst explanation I've ever given of that. I've done better explanations in the past, so don't come at me. Anyways, she's one of those. So she's got her little character down the corner, and she moves around, talks to the actual people that are watching her. It talks briefly about the fact that she's still trying to even get monetized. Like, she hasn't even gotten enough viewers and whatnot for that yet. Well, as she wraps up her day, she thinks that she cut off the stream. Like, her computer kind of bugs up for a minute. She assumes that it all kind of shut down by itself. So she's like, whatever. She goes to her fridge, grabs a Stro Zero drink, cracks it open, swigs it down, and just starts having a heyday. She starts to check out all of her fellow Live On members, specifically her particular generation, because a lot of these VTuber groups, they will have generations of groups of girls that will join in generations. And so she's checking out the other people in her generation, and she's, yes, saying lots of very inappropriate things about each one of the people that she watched. Like, there's one that's Hikari, and she is like the most purest girl ever, and she's playing this inappropriate game, and the entire time she's freaking out because this girl doesn't realize what she's playing is really inappropriate, and she's saying that she's so pure and innocent it's going to make her pregnant. She says some comment about her wanting to go into herself. And yeah, the entire time, everybody that was watching Aoyuki are like freaking out, like, holy crap, she's saying all this stuff on this live stream. She's lost it, because her actual character is super prim, very princess, very clean, very kind, very polite. And now she's just screaming, yo, oh my gosh, I'm gonna touch myself to this. She's making me pregnant. She's saying all these really inappropriate things. Well, cut the next morning, gets woken up by her phone. And she picks up the phone, and it's her
producer,
not producer, her agent, whatever you want to call it. And her agent's like, yeah, first of all, stay perfectly calm. I'm going to tell you something. I want you to stay calm. Turn off your live stream. She freaks out and goes, just shut it off. Yes, so happens she was on live stream the whole time, and now she knows. Everybody knows. And it kind of turns this whole thing where she's like apologizing profusely to her agent, and her agent's like, you know, we kind of thought this was coming eventually. Like, we thought that eventually you were going to kind of lose it. Actually, what she kind of puts it at is that we were kind of wondering if you were putting on a show that you were this prim and proper girl, and that eventually you were going to break out of it later on as a big surprise. Because apparently when she went to go interview, it sort of implies that she acted much different in her interview. What I'm assuming is that she probably got drunk, went to the interview, and that's why they hired her. And now she's been trying to be prim and proper this whole time, but then when she cracks the Stro Zero, she suddenly lets herself go. And they're like, well, the cat's out of the bag. You can't really put it back in there, so you might as well just do this. So yeah, every stream she cracks open the drinks, drinks it, and goes crazy, and everybody's loving it. They're all going, we were wondering when you're going to finally snap. This is the real you, and it's really great, and everybody's entertained by it. They want to do collabs there all the time now, and it proceeds to kind of just turn into her cracking drinks, getting on stream, and perving out over the other VTubers. So she basically
does what everybody else does now.
Whatever, but yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. That everybody else does right now. Anyways, yeah. Getting into my thoughts, and I think I got like 3 or so episodes in this. I got to the point where she got her new VTuber outfit, so now she has this kind of like laid back version of herself that she gets to no longer has to be the princess self. And like I said before, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I used to love VTubers. I still love certain VTubers like Pecora and stuff like that. But honestly, I used to love VTubers. At some point, I felt like all the VTubers that were coming out were kind of getting samey. They would all start out with some really cool personality that they wrote, and they have these cool backstories and everything like that. And then within a week, they just turn into all the other VTubers where they're simping all over each other and acting like they're all Yuri. And I got sick of it at some point. I'm like, they're all doing pretty much the same thing. I'm tired of it. So, and not that I hate them, not that I don't think that you shouldn't enjoy VTubers. It's just it doesn't work for me anymore. I just got tired of the VTuber simp culture. It ruins everything. And so I kind of stepped away from it. And so this is a massive plus, by the way, I'm getting into. This is not a massive negative. This is actually a massive plus. Watching this show, they're spot on. Like, I don't like VTubers for all these things. This show is legit VTubers. Like, the person writing this obviously has a lot of knowledge of VTubers because they're VTubers. Like, they're literally doing it. Now, granted, I feel a lot of VTubers that I've watched, they're very performative into what the culture wants. They get the super chats. Super chats say that you should be thirsty for this person. They do that. Whereas what they're kind of doing with this one is it feels like all these characters that are actual characters are all just Yuri. They're like, she's super thirsty for everybody, and they're all kind of accepting of it. So it's more like a Yuri thing rather than a sync culture thing. But anyways, like I said, it's nailing the VTuber aspect. It is interesting that the characters themselves remain their actual VTuber models when they're not on camera. So like Aoyuki, the main character, she's in front of her computer, and in the computer, she has her model there, and she's doing the live stream, and it's this, you know, princess-looking lady with this nicely done hair. But then when it cuts to her in her chair, she's the same person. Like, physically, she's sitting there. So they don't do that whole swap back and forth, actually showing her actual human self. She's just her character. And that's the same with everybody else, which is kind of weird because she'll be set up a meeting to hang out with some of the other VTubers, and they're in the restaurant, and they're like, it's this chick sitting there in the seat, and she's got kitsune ears and everything like that, and it's like, okay, so she's literally her character. So that's a little weird, but I think I like that because it kind of keeps them in characters. There's not that kind of swap back and forth. Humor wise, I barely ever laughed. I think I got maybe a quick like smile once an episode. It's a lot of it, like I said, it is VTuber humor. It is a majority of it. I'm probably exaggerating, but it feels like 90% of the show is talking about her drink that she drinks all the time, which is Stro Zero. She's obsessed with Stro Zero. She talks about it constantly, and it's like every joke feels like it's talking about her drinking Stro Zero. Is she going to gain weight? Will she ever stop drinking Stro Zero? Most of the show that I've watched so far, it is literally text popping up on the screen, which is the chat, and her answering the questions. And it's just constantly Stro Zero jokes and asking about Stro Zero. Does she ever think about other drinks besides Stro Zero? No, I'll live the rest of my life for Stro Zero. I'll even marry Stro Zero. It's just shut up about Stro Zero. The second part of the jokes is meme jokes, where they'll have like different kind of memes that you've probably seen on the internet will suddenly randomly pop up. I mean, they even have Pop-Tart cat pops in there at some point. Then the other part of the joke is just really a lot of the thirsty between VTubers jokes, which again, some of them, it kind of got me a little bit, like the whole thing with her. Yes, this too pure girl calling up afterwards the next day and saying, hey, what is this whole GONing thing? And she's like, I asked my manager what that meant, and she said it's just her saying that you're really cute. And then it's like not really exactly saying what she said. So it's got like this whole like thirsty innocence humor there, but for the most part, it's just, yeah, Aoyuki just super simping after all the other girls in the VTuber group, and them all talking about marrying each other so they can bang later on, but they're probably never going to do that because it's just what the chat wants. So yeah, it's like VTuber humor, memes, drunk woman stuff, constantly talking about Stro Zero, and just the VTuber culture, which like I said earlier, is doing very well with that. So if you're a VTuber fan, if you like just drunk women that talk about inappropriate things all the time, which I don't really particularly care for either because it feels a little bit too forced, it's there. Like I would probably really love the whole. What really sucks is there's one aspect of it that I think I would probably really like, and that is the vulgarness of the main character. But because it does it so much, it's just it's shock value, and it's gone. like early on when she first said that thing, or she's like, I would like to do this and get. She's making me pregnant because she's so cute. I was like, that's so great. And then after that, it's like, okay, it's not shocking anymore. Like it's just every 2 seconds, so I don't really care no more. Oh, she said something vulgar again. It's lost its value. It's just not funny anymore. But yeah, if any of that sounds interesting, you definitely check it out. Like I said, it seems like it's doing it really well. Just none of it's for me. And as usual, comedy subjective. So
Did they bring in? Was it kind of implied which VTubers they were working with, or was it, kind of caricatures of real life VTubers, or was it just all made up VTubers?
they're all original to this, but I mean, you could probably draw comparisons if you really want to dig into it. Obviously. All right. What else do we have? ATRI. ATRI. Do not break the anti-robot discrimination laws, Chris. Have you been treating your robots properly, Chris?
No.
You've been mean to ATRI, haven't you?
Yes.
Did she blow the whistle at you?
Probably.
Did you brush her teeth? ATRI, My Dear Moments, running on Crunchyroll done by Troika, based on a visual novel by Front Wing and Makura. Genres are drama, romance, slice of life, or sci-fi, sorry. And this one opens up with in a world where they don't know why. They said it could be polarized caps, the plates and the earth shifting. They don't know. But for some reason, the ocean levels are rising, and everything that was kind of on the coastline is all getting submerged, and they don't know what's causing it, but mankind's trying to figure out some way of shipping off like spaceships into space so they can figure out what the heck's so they can see if they can control the weather patterns or something like that. We zero in on Natsu, and Natsu is this guy that's living in his boat. At some point, he did go off to college to see if he can learn the expertise in order to go on one of these spaceships to go up in space. But because of an injury that he sustained when he was very young, where something fell on his leg and broke his leg and just destroyed his leg, he didn't pass the physical exam, so he wasn't able to go into space. And he's pretty much given up on everything at that point. He's kind of just, again, living in his boat. Every now and then his aunt, this Catherine chick, will show up and give him some sort of job lead, and most of the time it's crap. But this time, it seems like a very legitimate lead, because it's telling him to go down to his grandmother's laboratory, which is underwater, and there's something there. So he jumps into his submarine, goes down there to the laboratory, ends up finding a capsule down there where a android is inside of it, and very quickly he panics because it wakes up and he wrecks the submarine. But then the android comes out, swims over to him, gets the hook on him so they can take him back out of the water, because he was like basically having a relapse of himself being crushed before. But yeah, at that point, they meet this android. This android, not an android, it's a robot, sorry. Androids are specifically like, well, those are one with the sentience. Would she classified as an android? I guess she would be, wouldn't she?
I'm pretty sure she's an android.
I think she couldn't classify as android. Anyways, yes, it's android. His name is ATRI. She is a very high performance model, and she wants everybody to know that. She's high performance.
I think robot is just a mechanical thing that does something, where android is just a robot that looks like a human. Andro.
I think they also have I thought they also had like AI, or I guess AI couldn't be separate, but yeah. I think the thing I always mess up is sometimes I call them cyborg. Cyborg is human. It's half human enhanced by robots. And sometimes I for some reason will sometimes say cyborg whenever I'm meaning android. I don't know why. Anyways, back to ATRI. ATRI herself, again, claims to be a high performance model. She was, they were like immediately like, okay, yeah, we'll sell her off. They'll make us a lot of money. It seems like Natsu really wants money to buy a new prosthetic leg, because his current prosthetic leg really sucks. So Catherine and him are kind of on board with selling her very quickly. Kind of find out it's like a newer model, and it's a very rare model that was recalled for some reason, and they can get a really big penny for it, or a pretty penny for it. And so they're about to sell it, but then Catherine gets chased off by some debt collectors. So Natsu's left with ATRI with him, and so he can't sell her until Catherine gets back. And during this time, we find out that ATRI was given one last mission by Natsu's grandmother, but she doesn't know what it was. And so she says, please don't sell me until I figure out what that mission is and complete it. And until that happens, I'll be your leg. That's where our joke podcast from a long time ago that I still remember this point was my replacement leg as a lolly came from. But yeah, it kind of goes from that point on. Minamo's not, which is a childhood friend of Natsu. She's not keen on the idea of selling ATRI, but she doesn't think that he's going to sell ATRI because it seems like Natsu is getting comfortable with ATRI being around. It seems like he's a little more comfortable with expressing himself around her. She's kind of given him some sort of comfort whenever he has these really nasty nightmares about his past. And slowly over time, he's kind of learning to, I guess, move forward, because the big theme of this story seems like so far is Natsu, and really everybody, is sort of being stuck in one place. His whole dream back when he went to college to get a part of this whole program to go in space was to help, quote unquote, time move forward again. Time had come to stand still, and he wanted to move it forward again. But now he's kind of stuck in one place because that whole dream fell apart. And there's sort of this kind of balance between people giving up on the world itself and those wanting to sort of save what they have. And one of those things is in that the remaining people on this island, they have a school there. A lot of the students still go to that school, but they don't really have much resources to work with. They don't have tools. They don't have electricity. And so far, we've kind of had Natsu sort of get roped into trying to help them figure out some way of producing electricity for their school and whatnot. So it does seem like he's, through ATRI being present and sort of prodding at him constantly, he's now finally finding things to focus on, finding things to push forward, finding people to help, that kind of stuff. So what that'll turn into is a big question mark, but so far it's been sort of that ordeal, him getting pulled back into caring about things, I guess, is the big key thing there. So my thoughts on it so far: visually, I like it. It looks really good. Not like amazing or anything like that, but it's definitely up there in like the 8 or so area. I'm really enjoying the visual style. Character designs are great. ATRI is super adorable. It's like, even if Chris doesn't like this show, he being mean about the show, he's got to admit that ATRI is super cute.
Yes,
she's super cute. Okay.
I unfortunately I sold her to Catherine, and I never seen her again.
Why would you do that?
I'm a horrible person.
He doesn't like lolly characters. He's becoming a normie more and more every single day. He's even selling cute lolly characters.
No, that's just the point I got to in the show. I never seen any more of the show. So
you see the part where Catherine goes running off because the debt collectors are chasing him?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't even get that far.
No, she got on the motorcycle and left her shoe behind, and I never seen her again.
Oh, so that was the next episode, wasn't it? I thought that was the previous episode, was them, because I guess I didn't get that far to it. Yeah, it was really weird because at some point they're riding away and Natsu grabs the shoe and starts chasing after them. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, ATRI realizes it and she tries to nudge at Catherine. Catherine looks in the rearview mirror, and suddenly out of nowhere, this random black car shows up and it's hauling butt around Natsu and chasing after them. I'm like, where the hell did the car come from? Like, I got like a sense this is like some small island out in the middle of nowhere, and there's a car out here just chasing this random car, just chasing after people. It was just so random. I guess it's just one of those aspects of almost feeling like the island's more deserted than it actually is. Anyways, but like I said, visually it looks good. It's got some really cute visual styles. A lot of the shots with ATRI and stuff like that, just kind of being cutesy and looking around, all that kind of stuff is just great. The world so far is fine. It's an interesting setup. Like I said, it's got the concept of time standing still. Like, even the whole idea of him going in the submarine down to the lab, you obviously see like he's basically, going around areas which were his old, the streets that he used to walk down to go to school or whatever. And he's got these little brief moments where suddenly like he sees Minamo and himself as kids just kind of running around the streets and stuff like that. So you kind of see his past. That's kind of, the past environment that he used to live in has kind of been frozen in time. And that, like I said, is extending to his character and how he just doesn't want to push forward. But it does seem like, again, ATRI is, I think, so far doing great to push Natsu forward, because what I got a sense from, at least from Minamo, who is his childhood friend, it doesn't seem like anybody really pushes Natsu. Natsu isn't pushed by Catherine, who shows up and gives him jobs because he doesn't trust Catherine. He's not pushed by Minamo, who shows up every now and then, because Minamo seems to not want to push him. She's kind of just very passive with what he's going through. She's enabling it in a way because she's not wanting to push him in any way, probably afraid of pushing him away. She wants to support him, but it doesn't seem like she wants to push him at all. She'll invite him to go to school, but then he'll kind of say no, and then she gives up. Whereas ATRI is just constantly pushing these buttons, constantly pushing them, constantly to the point where he's responding to it. And I think that's something that he is liking, and that's something that he's finding comfort in. The oddity here is really ATRI herself, is because it seems to imply that she's a very advanced model, but at the same time she's extremely flawed, question mark. Like, again, they're implying the idea that because she forgets what her mission was, because she can't remember things, it's all because she's high performance. She claims that she's designed to forget things just like humans do. And that's what makes them so indistinguishable from the real thing, and that's why they stopped making androids in general, is because they're just, at some point, they didn't like how realistic they were getting, I guess. But is this goofy aspect of ATRI that she keeps messing up things, but then she blames it because she's high performance and designed to mess up. So, okay, she goes to cook him something and she nearly burns down his boat. How did you mess up that bad? I'm a high performance. I'm designed to mess up. It's like, it always comes down to her blaming it on that. I think ATRI makes the show for me. So I'm enjoying it mostly around ATRI. I think she's super cute. I really enjoy her personality. I like how she bounces off of Natsu. Even though Natsu himself he's not a joy to be around, because he's just this kind of guy that's just in a really negative place in his life. But because they bounce off each other so well, because he's so annoyed by her but never pushes her away too much, it really works. But my hope is where the story goes from here. I think the setup of the place they're at, or the world, is decent so far, and the idea of it almost feels like it feels like an abandoned city, really what it feels like, even though it's just kind of the remnants of what everybody moved away from to go to the mainland. It's got this sense of everybody's left this place behind, but then some people are still staying there. Like, Minamo's kind of dedicated herself to staying at this school in order to, she basically became their teacher. Like, Minamo's a student, but she's staying there because she wants to help the younger students continue to learn because they got left behind. And so what they'll do with that stuff going forward, I like the idea of Natsu finding purpose once again and helping with the electricity and all that kind of stuff and teaching them. I think that, I'm guessing that's the direction it's going. It's sort of implying there's something at that school that ATRI knows about. So I'm curious if it's going to go the route of, is ATRI like an android that has the memories of a student that used to go to that school, their memories when they passed away? Is it ATRI used to go to that school, her grandmother allowed her to go to the school and then just everybody forgot about her? That's the question mark. Where are they going to go with, how are they going to end up tying in ATRI to them is going to be the massive question mark, I think. So, and is her, the last mission that the grandmother gave ATRI, is it going to be to help Natsu, and she ordered her not to remember it in order to prevent her from saying that? That's going to be the question mark. So far it's been fine. I won't say that the overall story has been super engaging, but ATRI has kind of been carrying it mostly for me, so I'm enjoying the chemistry. Looking forward to more. Any remaining thoughts on your first 5 minutes you watched it?
Oh, I watched the first episode.
I'm joking.
Oh, I thought it was very beautiful.
Before you sold ATRI?
Before I sold ATRI. No, I thought it was beautiful. I did like the story for what it was. I like ATRI. I like Minamo. I actually got a kick out of Catherine. But all in all, it just didn't have any real staying power, and I had a lot of shows that I had to watch, so it just kind of fell off on this one. Not for any particular hatred of it. I did like it.
You do know there's anti-discrimination laws for robots.
Is there?
You need to stop. You need to stop discriminating against ATRI.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the rookie middle-aged adventurer was trained to death by the most powerful party to become invincible. Invincible. This one is done by Studio Yomita Company, based on a light novel, running for 12 episodes, I believe on Crunchyroll. And yeah, this one follows Rick Gladiator, I guess that's his name. And he's a 30-something-year-old guy that wants to become an adventurer. And I think they imply this idea that, when you reach a certain age, you just don't advance anymore. So even though he wanted to become an adventurer, it was kind of one of those ideas of you're too old, you never can become one. But he ends up kind of getting with this, like, this group of S-rank adventurers that is, like, notoriously known as being, like, the most powerful S-rank group ever. I think it's the only group that has all S-ranks or something like that. But they train the crap out of him, like, train. And then he goes back to try to join the Adventure Guild and starts to go through their whole, like, quizzing process and doing all their different tests and whatnot that they have to go through. At some point, he ends up making enemies of the wrong people, and so, like, the test instructors are trying to get him to fail, and so they're trying to, teleport him to another location where a bunch of other adventurers will take him out and keep him from being able to get back to the location. And the entire time he's doing all these different tests, he keeps recalling different of these S-rank members that were kind of training him different ways. Like, one of them is, like, mostly focused on to physical strength. One's mostly focused on to magical strength. One's mostly focusing on cunning or ingenuity or something like that. So, yeah, like I said, they trained him the heck out of him. I think, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think it was, like, your ability to build up your mana pool, I think what it was, at some point stops. And so what they did is essentially train him to max with everything else. Like, since you can't build up his mana pool over here, they'll just make him insanely strong or whatever. And so that's what they basically did with him. And even though everybody's like, you're 30-something, you're never going to be able to do this, he's actually incredibly powerful. So yeah, it does kind of go in that whole realm, similar to, like, I parry everything, where it's a main character who has absolutely no clue that he's actually extremely powerful, going into a situation where he's being finally tested, and he doesn't realize just how insanely powerful he is until he finally realizes it. So yeah, he does the whole testing. He's pretty much beating everything with flying colors, all the while trying to be stopped. And then eventually all of the party members that train him eventually show up, and everybody freaks out because they're so well known as being the most powerful group ever. So that's as far as I gotten in the series. It's, like I said, I'm in my brain, I'm very much so connecting this one with Parry Everything. This show does not look as good as Parry Everything. It looks okay. It doesn't look terrible. But this one is definitely a lot more comically driven than Parry. This one is like it feels like every 2 seconds they're trying to crack a joke. Not that really much of the humor at all really kind of works for me. It just, again, kind of is similar to Parry. It just kind of constantly sticks on the joke of him not realizing how massively OP is. People constantly trying to get at him. He wrecks them some way, but then doesn't realize how badly he wrecked them. And that's kind of been it so far. Unlike Parry Everything, I feel like this one's a little bit more, like, mechanic based. Like, it is technically getting into a lot of systems and whatnot that Rick and them are kind of exploiting in order to make him super strong. But at the same time, it's very surface level. It's not really trying to do too much different. But it's been okay. Like, I honestly felt like coming into the show, I was going to probably watch the first 30 or not even, like, probably 5 minutes of it and probably just throw it away. But I actually got through, like, the first 3 or so episodes decently entertained. Like, it's not doing enough where I feel like it's clever at all or doing anything super unique, but at the same time, it was enough to kind of keep me entertained for the most part. I think I seen somebody post that I think he's at some point he was starting to get a realization that he is actually strong. And that was really through Efelt, which is the elf member of that group that was kind of with him the whole time before the other members showed up. And she's constantly trying to push upon him, you do know that you can do this. Like, stop thinking that you can't do things. You have to start thinking that you can do things. She constantly is trying to bolster him up to have confidence. And I think during that time, it was starting to indicate that she was trying to drill into his... I think they sort of implied that they were trying to tell him that he wasn't strong in order to push him to keep pushing. And I think she was it gave me an indication that she was trying to break that off. Like, you can start having confidence in yourself now. Whereas when he was being trained, they didn't want him to have that. And so it felt like it was going that direction, but I think somebody posted saying that I think they implied that he does finally realize, oh, I am OP. So that maybe the show will get more interesting after that point, but for now it's just kind of been okay. I enjoyed the other S rank members. They had little brief clips of each one of them kind of training with him and the different things that they did to push him, like I said, in like physical strength or endurance or defenses and stuff like that. So the little brief moments were good. I liked I think I liked most all of them except for probably Eldwarf, he was like, I think he's supposed to be in, like it implies, and I think he's supposed to be an elf and a dwarf together. He's got like the ingenuity of a dwarf, whatnot. And I wanted to see a little bit more of the mage girl, because her Seiyu, El Silet or whatever her name is, she was kind of like this mage that just wrecks everybody with her magic. Like I said, it's an okay show. I don't really have much else to say about it. It's just okay. Not sure that I'll get back to it, but I don't know. Maybe if I have a random itch at some point, maybe if I have a random itch and I'm bored, I might fire it back up. But I don't think I probably will. So I wouldn't expect it. But yeah, it's a rookie middle-age adventure. Check that out if that sounds at all interesting to you. I probably did the worst job selling it. Like I said, I would probably stick with Perry everything. I always enjoy that one more. Isekai Raising Kids. Are you ready to talk about Isekai Raising Kids, Chris?
Sure.
What was the actual title?
I don't know.
Do I even have... There it is. A journey through another world, raising kids while adventuring. I don't have a thing. You knew I wasn't going to have an outline for this one. Yeah, this one, do you want to tell the story? Because you've probably gotten a lot further in it than I did.
I did, but you're usually a little bit better at it. I just sound like an idiot.
I don't know. It was kind of doing the same as that other show where the god of the world was doing something to fix the world and he got caught up in it accidentally. So in order to apologize, he isekais him to another world where he gives him like a bunch of power, and come to find out he runs into two random kids and they are like one-shotting all the monsters. And then he goes to talk to the god later on at the temple, and then it kind of implies there that he gave them the kids or they were from somewhere else. He can't say much, but he's like, yeah, I did kind of want you to pick them two up, but don't ask too many questions. Something about a different god, I don't know. And then, oh yeah, by the way, this other god's going to send you something. So it seems like all the gods are sending him a million familiars, and he goes in the dungeons and the kids show him where to go in the dungeon. He gets treasure, and I don't know what else.
Then they go into the guild wants him to go into the forest where he came from to
that's right.
Investigate
the other guy
problem.
was hiring him.
And there's the evil eye guy is looking at him, and the evil eye guy is looking at him. And oh yeah, by the way, the evil eye guy is looking at him, and then he gets mad because the evil eye guy was looking at him while they were fighting a big old snake, and that made him very mad. But it wasn't the kids going and fighting when they weren't supposed to. It was because the evil guy was looking at him. Yeah. And then the evil guy, the reason he was looking at him...
You're enjoying this show more than I am.
The reason why the evil guy was looking at him when he wasn't supposed to was because he was in love with the captain. And...
Oh, they're going to say he was in love with the kids.
No. It was because he was in love with the captain, and the captain suddenly was interested in Dude. Because Dude is OP, and so obviously he's interested in him. But he wasn't supposed to because evil eye guy was looking at him because he was mad because the captain looked at him.
So your thoughts?
It's cute. The problem with this show is that it's just not doing it. It's cute. Problem.
Somebody
everything beats him up real fast, and then it's cute because it's the cute characters beating up on something.
Somebody said it well. It's like the replacement of like we had Fluffy Paradise. This is like the replacement of it. I'm like, yeah, that's so right, because it's kind of the same thing where it's like the kids did something cute. Oh, they did something cute. Oh, they did something cute. And then like, there's some kind of drama in the area. And then, oh, they did something cute. It's so fluffy. They did something cute.
I suppose I enjoyed Fluffy Paradise a lot more than this one. I will admit that. I kind of want it to work, but it's just not. It doesn't have the. I guess maybe because it's focusing on Kayono or Takumi, because of the fact that it's focusing on him rather than the twins. I kind of want it to focus more on them, where all they do is they just pretty much follow him around all the time, and then every once in a while a monster shows up and they go and kick it.
They kick it.
They kick it.
That's literally half the time. For some reason, I feel like I'm trying to think of all the fight scenes, and it's just like they kick him, and they kick him, and they kick him. Like these stills of them kicking. Whee! And the monster going, eh.
Oh, well, I mean, the most cutest thing they did was went and played fetch or whatever it was, or tag with the
bees.
daggum bees.
They're chasing the bees around.
That was about, that's kind of cute. And then we went back to Takumi, and he's got a comment on everything. So, yeah. And that's probably my main problem, is maybe it's because of the fact that it's so focused on Takumi kind of reacting to everything. It's just not pulling off the cuteness level that Fluffy Paradise did.
You fail to reach the cuteness of Fluffy Paradise. You are not fluffy enough. You are only
it's an 8 on the cuteness scale, whereas Fluffy Paradise is at perfect 11.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Fluffy Paradise was a lot better looking. I mean, Fluffy Paradise wasn't that great looking, but at least with her, they were always kind of on model and everything. This show's not really visually that pleasing. But no, I'm on the same boat. Not really the same boat. I literally have zero attachment to the show whatsoever. I was like, I kind of expect that coming into it because the PV just didn't look like it was doing much. And I was like, I just assumed this show was going to be, oh, kawaii kids kick things. Oh, they're so cute. I kind of made a big joke about it early on. Was like, the synopsis and PV kind of makes it out to feel like he's going to be signing up these two kids to become adventurers so that he can exploit them to do quests. But it didn't really feel like that so much. But it did sort of, because most of the time they're running out there kicking things. But I think in the dungeon it kind of implied that he started actually getting abilities, so he was actually doing something. He wasn't putting the kids to work all the time. He was trying to do something. But they mostly did everything. Just going around the dungeon and going, gochi, 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 gochi. Just kind of pointing everywhere. It's cute. But yeah,
no. You bought him a bow.
No. Just a no from me. That's a nope from me. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the whole thing with the gods, but it implied that like every single one of these gods were all like sending him random stuff. And the guy that sent him there got all super jealous because somebody sent him a familiar before he got to. He's like, I wanted to send you something. Like this god guy's kind of weird.
He can't turn him down because then they'll stop blessing him or something like that.
Yeah. It's like the reverse of the campfire cooking show. Like campfire cooking show, he always had to make offerings all the time. Like every day, if he did not send the goddesses offerings, he would get like, they would be all over him and yelling at him and whatnot. And this one's the opposite. He has to accept the offerings from the gods, apparently. Sure. Yeah, that's a quick drop for me. Wasn't expecting myself to really get too much in this show anyways, so. Now, let's talk about something that I did try to get into, and I don't know if I'm going to keep watching it. I don't know. I'm assuming you didn't watch anything of How to Become Ordinary?
No.
Okay. Shoshimin, How to Become Ordinary, or Shoshimin series is this next one. It is running for 10 episodes. Really? I'm going to have to finish it anyways now. If it's only 10 episodes, I'm going to finish it. Anyways, streaming on Crunchyroll, done by Lapin Track. Source of the novel, genres are mystery, and the creator of this this novel series that's being adapted from is Hanabu Yonezawa, who of course is known for doing Hyoka. This one opens up with Jongoro Kobato and Yuki Osanai. And the two of them are starting their new year in this new school that they both applied to and got into. And they both made a pact with each other. They both came together and decided they were going to support each other to a common goal. And this common goal is to become ordinary. They want to become ordinary people. Now, it doesn't say right off the bat what were they. They just that they are focusing on becoming ordinary. And as they're there with like the boards up at the school and everybody's checking to see if they actually passed to join if they passed the entrance exam, there's even this girl over here and she's crying obviously because she didn't pass. And they're going, "What's wrong with that girl over there?" "Oh, she probably didn't get in." "Oh, that's right. I failed to become ordinary again." And then Kobato ends up getting roped in by his old friend Dojima. Dojima ends up roping him into helping him find this other student's stolen purse. And so it goes into this whole thing where he's going around the school trying to figure out where this purse is at. And eventually they discover that it's like was being hidden next to this this club room. And it was like something because the guy put a love letter into the purse and was going to, and then I guess got cold feet. So he decided to steal the purse and hide it, whatever. Anyways, cut forward. Now Dojima invites Kobato to come back over to his place. He's got a question for him. When he gets there, guy makes him hot cocoa and then confronts Kobato and says, "What happened to you?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" "You're acting weird." "No, I'm just trying to be normal, trying to be ordinary." He's like, "What happened to you? Did something happen? Did you some kind of trauma? Did somebody threaten you? Did you get bullied? Something like that?" And he's like, "No, you're trying to find some sort of thing you can fix. I'm just being ordinary. There's no trauma about it. That's just what I want to become." Well, cut forward, Yuki Osanai, the girl that's in this pairing, she ends up having her bike stolen with her limited time strawberry tarto. They went out to go buy these strawberry tartos, and it was in, I'm calling it tarto because of the song that she says, tarto, tarto. I can't stop saying it. They were on her bike. They went into the store, and then this guy stole her bike, chucked the tarts on the ground, and then he ran off the bike. She ends up getting called into the office the next day, and that's because her bike was found at the scene of this break-in or something like that. And so they got onto her about the fact that she allowed her bike to get stolen, and they wanted to question her about possibly being involved with that whole ordeal. And yeah, they end up finding the bike later on. Some car ran over it, and she got in trouble for that as well because they found her bike and it damaged somebody's car. Well, Osanai ends up confronting Kobato and saying, "I want to get back at this person. They're probably not going to do anything." They kind of realize who this person might be or where he was trying to go to. And she wants to get back at this person. She wants to get revenge. Kobato freaks out. He's like, she's talking about getting revenge. This kind of alerts him. So he goes back to Dojima and says, "Hey, Dojima, I need you to help me try to get back at this guy before Osanai does." It's like, "What are you talking about? If she wants to go after the guy, let her go after the guy. He stole her bike, whatever." He's like, "No, you don't understand. We need to work. I need your help to get this guy before she does." This is where I was like, okay, this can get interesting. Like I said, follow my mindset here. Two individuals trying to give up their old selves. They're trying to become ordinary. It's obviously implying at this point that the thing that Kobato is trying to stop being is a know-it-all. He can't help but every mystery he has to get involved, and he says that he stopped doing this because it seems to imply that he ticked off the wrong people. Like, people hated how smart he was. That's like Dojima was saying, what happened to you're not your old self? You used to hate when people knew things that you didn't know. And you used to figure things out faster than everybody else. And it kind of, again, implies the idea that he figured things out that he probably shouldn't have and got people mad at him. Osanai really badly wants to get revenge. And so my mind immediately goes to this girl's probably got some violent tendencies in her past that she's trying to stop doing. And sure enough, he tells Dojima she used to be very violent. Like she said she would if somebody wronged her, she'd be willing to run up there and chew their throat out if she needed to. She's like a wild wolf. And so I'm getting to this point of the story and I'm going, holy crap, this is going to get dark. And I hope it gets dark. It doesn't. She ends up essentially following this guy that stole her bike to this driving training place that he was trying to get to originally. He was trying to get his driver's license so that he can have an ID for them to be able to do scams. And so she took a picture of him writing down a fraudulent name, and he ended up getting arrested.
She just sounds tenacious is all she is.
Persistent is what they classify her as. Extremely persistent. But that gets into my review. I have never watched Hyoka. I've heard a lot of good things about Hyoka, but I have heard here and there that Hyoka is just kind of a flavor in its own. And it's got a cult following, so that kind of lends itself to it. I'll probably eventually watch Hyoka. I was kind of curious with some people. I was like, yeah, is Hyoka like this? Because what would I describe this show? It's artistic mundane. This show is the most beautiful mundane I've ever seen. It's got some great style to it. It's got amazing directing, visually, just the different perspective shots and everything just sells every single shot. There is a good chemistry between Kobato and Osanai, the two main characters. The chemistry between them is equally mundane, but it is a good chemistry between the two of them. I especially like Osanai's character, very kind of to herself. She's very quiet, which is the opposite of what she used to be that she's trying to get away from, which is seemingly very persistent, loud, and violent. My struggle was after the first, would it be 2 episodes or 3 episodes, when it got to the point where he was seeking help to keeping Osanai from doing something bad. I told myself, next episode's make or break. This next episode, if Osanai doesn't do something violent, the buildup would have been sort of a fake out, and this is the status quo. And sure enough, like I said, yeah, they're not going to make this chick like, I literally made a joke video where I took the scene where they're walking out of the convenience store and she's singing the tarta tarto, and they walk around the corner, and then suddenly the bike goes rushing by after the tarts get thrown on the ground, and then it cuts over to the scene with the father in John Wick, and he's like, do you realize who you mess with? What, some nobody? He's like, the nobody is John Wick. And it cuts over to Osanai, and she's on the bridge with Kobato, and she turns to Kobato, and it's all like, it's got that red saturation over the shot. It's super beautiful red saturation shot. And she's like, I'm going to get revenge. And I'm like, dude, Osanai is going to go nuts. Dude screwed with her strawberry tart. It's like the whole thing like John Wick. It's just a stupid dog and a stupid car. But that's John Wick. That's Osanai. It's just a stupid strawberry tart. But that's Osanai's strawberry tart. It just felt like so much tension, and Kobato's like freaking out, like, Dojima, you gotta help me take these guys down. Before she takes them down, we gotta take them down. Like I said, he describes her as like she would rip their throats out. She's like a rabid wolf. And I'm like, this girl's probably got some past of being super violent. No. She just like super, like once she gets stuck on something, she wants to fix it. That's it. Whenever there's a puzzle, he wants to solve it. Whenever there's, I'm guessing, a sense of wanting revenge, she has to do it. Just like the whole scene, like right after that whole scene where she gets her justice. There's like a couple next to her, and I'm guessing the guy cheated on the girl, so she took her drink and was going to throw it at the guy, and it misses, and it hits Osanai in the back of the head. And so he's like texting her, "Don't worry about it." It's like like he's afraid she's gonna get justice from it or something like that. And it's like that was a lot of build up for nothing. I don't know. Maybe later on they'll have her do something like super crazy, but it's like to have that whole segment where again it's like that red saturation. She's talking about how what she said is like again. She says that she wants to go find him and get revenge. Messed up my bike, and he's like, don't worry about it. We made a promise. We're gonna keep each other from falling back. She's like, you don't understand. I got to do something. He's like, no, you don't have to. Osuna, you don't have to do it. Think about it. It's like, she's like, okay, well, you said we have to be ordinary, right? Yeah, we're going to be ordinary. I'm just not word for word, by the way, but it's like, she says, well, don't you think for us to have an ordinary life, don't you think it's best to protect the things that are in our life or something like that? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, then I have to go get revenge. Like I gotta stop people from taking advantage and taking things from my ordinary life. So much buildup to nothing. Like he's freaking out. He's trying to figure it out before she does. Dojima and him rush over to the training place to go after the guy, and she's there like, yeah, I took a picture. I'm good. You literally spent an entire episode of tension for that crap. Give me a break. Again. It's a gorgeous looking show. It's almost like over dramatized and over polished and beautifully directed mundane. The mysteries suck. One episode is literally spent trying to figure out how Dojima made hot coffee using only 3 mugs. I think it was one spoon. 1 spoon and 3 mugs. And they were drinking from 3 mugs. How do you make the hot cocoa, which he described the way that he made the hot cocoa is that you put a little bit of milk in there, you warm up that milk, you put the cocoa into it, and then you put milk on, you mix it to get it nice and like very, very, creamy, and then you put the rest of the milk in there, and then you mix it again. And so they're trying to figure out how he did that with only 1 spoon and the 3 cups that they were using. And they spent an entire episode trying to figure that out. Not an entire episode, but most of the episode. The rest of the episode was him trying to figure out what he's changed. I wanted the show to be good. I wanted it to nail whatever punchline it was nailing, but nope. I'll probably keep watching it because I don't know how many episodes. I think I'm in 3 episodes. I might be 4 episodes, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm mad. Can you tell I'm mad? It didn't deliver.
You may be slightly bugged.
I'm slightly agitated. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Not mad. I'm disappointed.
You were the chosen one.
Yeah, you were the chosen one. The freaking PVs were gorgeous. It is a gorgeous show, though. It is a gorgeous show. And you got and Osuna is just cute. Like, she's super cute. I wanted her to go vicious mode, man. I was so hyped for her to go vicious mode, dude. At least stick a paper bag with some dog crap on the guy's porch and light it on fire. Something revenge. Not, I took a picture of him forging his signature so we can send it to the police officers. My gosh. Oshinoko. I think this might be our last one. We'll see. Oshinoko. Season 2 is here, guys. Streaming on Haidai once again. And yes, this is, of course, being done by Dogokobo still. Based on a manga, of course, written by the great Akasaka. The legend himself of Kaguya-sama Love is War. Akasaka. I think his other work's already done. I need to go check that out. But anyways, yeah. For those who don't know what Oshinoko is a series about this guy that was a doctor in his previous life, and he was taking care of a cancer patient. I think she had cancer, right? She's like a tumor or something like that. Anyways, his beloved, the girl liked this idol named Ai. And then once she kind of passed away, he started liking the idol too. So he's a big fan of the idol. The idol shows up at his clinic because they're hiding the fact that she's pregnant. He helps her through the pregnancy process. And then just before she had the pregnancy, this random guy shows up, stabs the main character. He dies. As he's dying, he reincarnates as one of the children of Ai. And then is raised by Ai, as her son, along with a daughter as well. They're twins, and then at some point, some horrible things happen, and Aqua, now older, is trying to solve this mystery within the actual entertainment industry, because in order to solve the mystery, he tries to rise up in the entertainment industry in order to find the person involved with it and track them down. I don't know. I'm still dancing around that spoiler, but what it is. In the first season, a lot of it was focused on going into acting, where he meets Kana again, which he knew from the past. Eventually joined this one like reality TV show where a bunch of different stars get together and they romance. Eventually, he concludes the entire season of it by getting with Akane, one of the members of the group. That leads into going into season 2, where, well, towards the later part of the first season, we do get more into Ruby, who was the daughter of Ai, and her making her own group, her idol group, to follow after her mother's footsteps. At the same time, going into the second season, we get into a 2.5D stage performance. What was it called? Tokyo Blade?
Yes.
Yeah. And as they're doing that and getting ready for that whole situation, the writer shows up and says, I don't like the writing. And then they get this big conflict with her, and eventually they move things forward. They just started the performance now. After, what is it? Or like, should we gotta be like 4 episodes in there at this point, or 5? Finally getting to that stage performance. So what do you think of this season? Besides not enough Ruby.
Yeah, definitely not enough Ruby.
And no Memcho. Memcho showed up once.
I actually, this is probably no surprise. I love this show. It's doing fantastic. I was a little bit taken aback when they started doing a little bit of a breakdown of how certain things in the industry work. And it kind of got almost kind of too much tutorial.
Oh, I love that stuff.
Well, I do. I do like it.
Well, yeah,
but
I don't like the slideshows of the crap and they have to walk through it, but I like the look into the industry. That's what I love.
Yeah, I do. I like see,
like the writer stuff.
Yeah, and when we were in the first season, it was like it almost kind of just took for granted that you understood what was going on. In this season, it was almost like, okay, we got to break this down for you so that you understand where the break in communication was. And I was like, no, I got the kind of break in communication.
Oh, the phone tag one?
Yeah, it almost kind of went way too into it. And it was like, okay, no, this is a bit more than I want. I do like what it was trying to do. Make it make sense.
Yeah, the phone tag thing was interesting because why I liked what and I don't know if you're talking about specifically the phone tag thing, but the reason why I liked how they portrayed the phone tag thing is because it showed the actual character and their personality and their position, so it made sense. So, like, again, what the phone tag system is basically is we were talking about the scriptwriter to the original creator concept. So Abiko, who is this mangaka, her manga is getting adapted into a stage play. And so what they're basically saying is at some point the mangaka got the script work that the scriptwriter made. So he took her manga and he turned it into a script for a stage play. And then he sent that draft back to her. She looked at it and said, "This is dog bleep." And she's yelling at her editor saying, "Tell them this part is dog bleep." And so he goes, "Okay." And he types to his to the publisher, the publisher they work to, their correspondent, and says, "She said this is dog bleep." And then she says and goes, "Okay, well, I'm going to have to tell this other company to tell their scriptwriter it's dog bleep. I can't do that. That'll look bad having our company tell their company bleep. So I'm going to change it to it's dog poo poo." And then he sends that, and then on the other side, the other company goes, "Okay, now I got to tell the producer to tell the scriptwriter this."
Yeah.
And then what I liked is like when it gets to the producer's like, she knows nothing of stage plays. She's a mangaka. She knows how to make panels. She doesn't know the equipment and everything that works. So I'm going to pretty much wash this down super bunch. Just tell them this scene was a problem. And the scriptwriter goes, okay, let me adjust this scene a little bit. And so what my whole point there was I liked kind of seeing that, even though I knew that's how it worked. It was kind of interesting to see sort of how that communicates with a stage play specifically, mainly because the producer going, no, my scriptwriter knows the equipment. He knows how the stage itself rotates. He knows that there needs to have time to transition between each scene. He knows that there's going to be a transition period. He knows we got to move the stages around. We got to swap out equipment here and there. He knows how to pace it so that everything flows perfectly. To the point later on when they finally come to agreement, they're like, the actors are going to have to be on their toes the entire time. There's no breathing room. They literally indicate they took out all the exposition dumps that typically happen when the transitions happen. So it's like they're kind of implying these actors are going to have to like constantly moving, like constantly moving. I'm sorry. Go continue.
No, and I did appreciate a lot of it. I mean, like I said, I did like it. It just felt like it was almost too much exposition to explain it. And that's a minor quibble, because in all actuality, everything worked out really fantastically. I love where they're going with this. They're still keeping up a lot of the kind of drama. It doesn't feel as dark as it did, but I'm sure we're going to get into something that's going to
Did you get the Dead Eyes yet?
The Dead Eyes?
Did you watch last week's? The Dead Eyes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. There we go. There we go. There's gonna be a group we're super excited about them Dead Eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was such a great scene. I loved it. But no, I
just knew it was coming.
It was great. I loved it.
I'm not saying that it's great, but
I loved it.
I knew it coming. That's super unhealthy. Like that's not good. That's not a healthy thing.
But no, I get a kick out of the, like we were talking about with the whole phone tag thing, or the passing it off. I did love the fact of the actual breakdown of, like Andrew was kind of breaking down this entire, from spot to spot to spot to spot, going where nobody's actually at fault. It was the script, the mangaka wants certain things, kind of valued that doesn't feel like it's being valued.
You know what's funny is that when they did that breakdown, like I was saying earlier, the one that stood out to me was the producer. I was like, I bet you the worst person in this whole thing is a producer, because they're all watering it down, but it felt like he was the biggest break in the communication. And it's so funny that later on I'm like, but he was the one that was the most honest. Like, he's right. That's the whole breaking thing, is that it won't work.
You mean the director or the
producer? The one that was apologizing to the scriptwriter later on. He's the producer. He legit told the guy, you write
the guy with the two colors.
Yes.
That's the director.
No, he's not. He's a producer.
Okay.
But he's like, legit, he knows this stuff. That's why I hire him all the time. That's why when later on, when everybody went there and said, oh my gosh, this is a great performance, he's like, yes, because he knows how to write this stuff. He's a great scriptwriter. And it gets in that whole realm where I love how Akazaki, with every single one of these characters, even though I don't really at first go, I don't care about the scriptwriter, whatever. Eventually it suddenly goes, no, this guy was trying his hardest, but there's these caveats that come into play. The way that they explained scriptwriters was like, it's so true, because this mangaka is mad. You ruin my stuff. You have no idea what makes my story special. You act like you read my stuff. You have no idea what makes my stuff special. And then it cuts over, and Aqua's like, they're going to replace you, right? They're probably going to kick you out. He's like, that's fine. He's used to it. It's like, this is one of the most thankless jobs in adaptations as a scriptwriter, because, and yeah, I can totally see it. What he says, if the show or the adaptation does really well, who do people think? The original creator. If it's terrible, if it's a terrible adaptation, who do they talk to? the scriptwriter. Like it's like the worst job. I'm like, yeah, technically true. It's like if I watch a show and it's an incredible story, I'm not gonna go to the scriptwriter. I'm gonna go, holy crap, who made this source material? Let me go check it out. I've had some cases where I acknowledge that with like something like, Onimai, where it's like they changed it so much to flow so well. I have to acknowledge the scriptwriter. It's like you can't not. But then you have other cases where it's just the story's super good. Like Mushoku Tensei. It's not like I ever look up the script writers there. I'm gonna look up, Refugin or whatever. Except for maybe the first season. He did a really good job with that, so. Yeah, I've been loving it. And like I the same reason I love the first season. The Akasaka, seemingly more than really most creators that I've run into that have stories about the entertainment industry, he's so enveloped in it. He's so raw with the stories within the entertainment industries, and it makes sense because Akasaka has been basically involved with adaptations of all the way across the board. Like his stuff has had live action adaptations, TV dramas, he's had animes, movies, he's probably had stage plays at some point. Like he's been involved so much with the entertainment industry, and so he has sort of this great perspective into the world of the entertainment industry. And just like with the first season, he's willing to show sort of all the stains within the entertainment industry and air it out. And there is a side of it that almost feels like he's almost showing his own flaws too, and how people can get so conceited with their own mindsets. With this season, like with Abiko, was just a huge part of the story in this first season, or this second season, is just this mangaka that seems like they're the only one that can do something. Like, let me do it myself. I'll handle it. You're not smart enough. You don't know my story. I can't trust people to do my artwork. So she's basically doing a weekly shonen story with incredible art that is way more than that she should be doing for a weekly release. Plus, she wants to do the script. She won't bring any assistants that come in. She fires them immediately because they won't do it well enough. She just doesn't feel like anybody else can handle it. And then eventually gets into why she feels that way.
Yeah.
They ruined your show. They ruined your story that I love so much. It's like, it's sort of this kind of realization of you have to sometimes give. You have to sometimes meet people in the middle. Sometimes you can't handle it all. And I think the stories they got with that stuff so far has been really fantastic. And then here recently with emotional acting for Aqua, that's uncovering some things that we've been leaving in the background for quite a while now. At least from the end of the first season and going into the second season. Finally drudging up some... We've been keeping up with what Aqua's main role is, but I think here recently was finally the moment where I felt like I gave any squats to Aqua. I said it very early on. Like, the first episode is a phenomenal episode. Was it a 3 or 4 episode length episode? It was a long one.
3. It was an hour long.
It was like a movie. It was a movie. But ever since that first episode, I wasn't feeling Aqua. And mainly why was because from that point on, he felt like he was way too one note. Like, and he's got a good driving force. I mean, I understand. Like, heck yeah, if I witnessed that, something needs to happen. But it almost felt like ever since that initial introduction, he's got the whole, like, I gotta get this done. I gotta find the person. He's super angry. That's it. Like, he's just so monotone. He's got no emotions. He just kind of is just, where's point B? Oh, I arrived at point B. Oh, where's point B? I have arrived at point B. And then you have these really cool moments, like where he does a little acting where he's the stabber in that live action. It's like, oh crap, he totally just had to relive that whole thing and become this person attacking with his knife. I guess my biggest problem with Aqua is, while I understood his driving force, he just doesn't feel like a very interesting character outside of that.
He didn't feel like it was affecting him. It just was something that
he's on autopilot.
Yeah, like he had to do something, but it never affected him.
Even still, it's like, but he's not that's cool and all, but it's not an interesting character. Like, there's no depth to it. Here recently with his breakdown, it suddenly worked. Like, I should have known that. It's Zaka. It's not like he's going to make a character that's so unnoted. It is shocking that it took so long to get to it. Let's be perfectly honest. I mean, this is like, what? I think 55 chapters. Yeah, I have it down here. 55 chapters into the manga, and now 15 episodes into the anime series. Finally, I get this, but still. Finally, I get a little bit more depth to Aqua, and the fact that he does this emotional acting where he's got to recall these moments in his life where he had something bad happen. And I was like, oh crap, here it comes. He's recalling this bad experience from his childhood. No, he's fine. The key was when he tried to think of something happy. That's where it started to make sense for me. Suddenly I'm like, okay, now this is a new way to go about his character. Not that he always remembers the fact that something bad happened. That's why he's constantly trying to find this criminal. It was when he was trying to be happy that his old self comes out of nowhere and says, stop being happy. Never forget. Stop being happy. Never forget. Suddenly, there is a logical reason for him to be so kind of unemotional. He's not allowed to be happy. He'll always be unhappy. He's never going to have joy in his life. And so, not that it's like super groundbreaking, but I'm like, okay, now we're adding another layer to Aqua that I didn't know was there before. And then here in the recent episode, even though Ruby doesn't feel like she's ever in the freaking show anymore, she pops up out of nowhere, and she suddenly gets a little brief moment of, you better not touch some woman. You better not get some girl pregnant. I'll never forgive him. Oh, now we got Ruby having yandere eyes. It's like in one single episode, we had Kana yandere eyes, sort of. We had Ruby yandere eyes, and Kana yandere eyes. I don't know where everybody's got yandere eyes. Everybody's angry. But no, it's been
Ruby
good.
Ruby got the black star.
Yeah, the black star, that's right. Pretty much. But yeah, it's been fantastic as usual. Like I said, the main key thing is that Akasaka does a really great job of kind of, again, showing the nasty sides of the entertainment industry that I'm very familiar with. I mean, this season with the whole stage performance stuff, I'm not as familiar with. I haven't really looked too much into, especially like Japanese stage play and stuff like that, but at least this type of stage play. I mean, I've looked at review stuff like that, not really necessarily 2.5D. It looks like it's literally like a theater, movie theater, just a rotating movie theater. So that's kind of interesting, but it's still kind of a look into mangakas, adaptations, script writers, producers, editors, the whole political systems behind all that stuff, agreements, contractual agreements. But I'm curious about that. I'm curious if that's a common thing across all mangakas, that they have basically intellectual property rights. Like the creator themselves has to consent to anything changed. I'd be curious if that's just a strictly thing that Abiko has, or if that's a common thing that's around the board. If it's like a governmental law or something like that.
Well, the way they're playing out her character, I could see her being as control freak as she can be over everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, when she first signed up, that's the question mark, because I don't think she's always been that way. Because she used to be under, what's her face? Kichijoji. Anyways, yeah. I will admit, the only downside of this season so far is I kind of want the stage play stuff to be done. I don't really find the stage play itself to be interesting. I like the each person's role in it, but the stage play itself, I just don't care. So I'm hoping the next episode, hopefully, it'll be done. I have my predictions on where I think it'll go from here, and it's obviously around Aqua going on that stage. I think that they flagged enough that he's going to break on that stage. And I think Akane's going to pull him through it, and I think it's going to lead to probably everybody. Aqua's not going to do it on purpose, but Aqua's going to break, and people are going to see that as like the best performance ever, because he's literally going to see Akane dead. He's literally going to see Akane snap back out of it, and he's probably going to put on the best show, even though he's internally screaming. It's gonna be crazy. I'm looking forward to it. So Who do you think's going to win, Akane or Kana? There's a competition between the two right now.
Right.
I don't care about Melt or not Melt. I do think Melt's going to probably do a good job. He's going to do a good job. That's going to be his redemption. But between like Taiki, Himikawa, and Aqua Hoshino, the two of them, I don't care. There's no win or lose between the two of them. Now, it does seem like Himikawa is saying that Kana is going to win because they're partners, but the real competition is Kana versus Akane on that stage. The way they've laid out Kana is that she has to be Akane, otherwise she can't prove Akane wrong that she's yesterday's news. The idea is that Kane told her in words that she used to be popular. She's an old genius nobody cares about anymore. Kana's trying to prove that wrong.
No, I think
Akane has to win, I think, to essentially prove that she's no longer her idol, that she's gotten better than Kana. I think there's more to lose if Kana loses.
I agree.
But
at the same time,
she can lose in order to move on to being an idol.
I think that's true. I didn't think about that.
Because if Kana loses this,
well,
she will be proven that she is an old actor and that she will never be a new actor, a new genius. She will always be old news. But that might also help her just focus on idols.
You might be right. I didn't think about that. I was thinking more along the lines of the rivalry between those two. And I don't think that Kana losing here would be good.
Oh, no.
I do think Akane needs to... Akane has more to lose because if she feels that she... I think that she would give up. That might be the thing that would make her give up on Aqua.
Oh, no. No, she's never going to give up on Aqua. Aqua, she sees Aqua as her savior. She's never going to give up on him. Even if she gives up on everything, she'll become a housewife. She'll be that girl that stays outside and goes, "You want me to cook you some food? Let me come into your house." Oh, sure, Connie.
I think it would be more along the lines of her just shifting herself more to a support role, like you're saying. You're making the joke. You're actually making my point. She would shift more to a support role where she. And I think that's I don't see her as being next to Aqua the entire show.
The way that because she's got a savior complex. He saved me. I will do everything in order to save him. That's why she gives the dead eyes and says, "I will help you." She'll literally do anything for him. The problem that the position that they put her in is that no matter what, if she ever loses Aqua, she has nothing. And that's the scary. That's what I was joking about earlier. That's scary. The position that Akane is in right now. And again, I seen it back here when he first saved her. She doesn't care about anything but Aqua, and if she doesn't have Aqua, she has nothing. He has become her everything. That she's in a very unhealthy position right now with Aqua. So if she loses Aqua, she's good as dead. Anyways, going back to Akane and against Kana, the interesting thing there is that my perspective on how Akane losing will work is that if Akane loses to Kana, it proves to her that she was right to look up to Kana. Because she looked up to Kana a long time ago. But at some point, she's now trying to prove that she's better than Kana, like she's gotten better. So if she loses, it's just I was right to look up to you.
But don't forget, there is the Aqua. I mean,
that has nothing to do with it.
It has everything to do with it.
Let me tell you. There's two aspects to this. The two of them are competing against each other for Aqua.
Right.
That was the surface level thing that we've known for this entire season.
Correct.
This recent episode proved to us that there's something deeper between the two of them, that they were always rivals.
Correct.
Since they were young, both Kana and Akane have known each other, and Akane at some point worked with Kana, and at that point was looking up to her. And then at some point, Akane seemingly told Kana that she was old news, that she is just this young genius, and that at some point she's gonna get older, and then nobody's gonna care about her. They had an argument back then. Well, cut forward, now they're being reunited again, and then suddenly Kana's coming out of nowhere and saying, "No, here's your old interview where you said I was the greatest," and all this kind of stuff. So when they both walked onto that stage, Kana wasn't saying, "I will beat Akane and get Aqua." And Akane wasn't on that stage going, "No, I'm going to beat Kana and get Aqua." No, they're competing against each other. It's a pride thing. Like Kana said, it's rivalry. When they were talking behind the stage before she walked on that stage to Akane, it's rivalry between the two of them. It had nothing to do with Aqua.
Okay.
Anyways, your counterpoints?
I'm just saying that it's both. I'm not disagreeing with you, and I'm saying that you can't discount Aqua. That's all I said.
Oh, I like I said, it's been going on for long, and then, okay. But no, like like the whole situation with Aqua, like collapsing. It's like, yeah, kind of obviously is mad at that whole situation, but there's two different avenues that are going on at the same time, and I think right now with them on the stage, it has everything to do with their past together, and a lot to do with, again, Kana sort of proving that she said that Akane has the habit of saying absolutes, basically, and saying things are this way and you can't say otherwise. And what she said, or apparently Akane said, was that you're old news. And this is, anyways. Well, I'm gonna prove her wrong. It's good stuff. It's a good show, man. That's Oshinoko season 2. Where are we at? That worked out just perfectly. We have left over for next week. Yes, we're doing 4-parter. Doing a 4-parter. Next week will be Love and Indivisible, Monogatari series, Mayonaka Punch, Nier Automata, Bye Bye Earth, Our Last Crusade. I might talk about that stupid show. I don't think I will. Sengoku Yoko, Demon Lord Army, Lieutenant is a Human or something like that. Days with My Stepsister. I might talk about Tower God. I might talk about Cafe Terrence. Those two are massive. I don't know. I just don't really. I don't even know if I want to talk about them. I haven't even started Cafe Terrence. I don't think I will. Season 2, by the way. So both season 2. It's next week will be the season 2s, because Sengoku season 2, Crusade season 2, Tower God season 2, Cafe Terrence season 2, Nier technically is season 2. So there you go. Anyways, that is that. But yeah, that's it for today's summer 2024 anime season impressions, discussions. Just to let you guys know, some side projects. I did go on to Psychotrist's live stream last week. Had a great discussion. I was mostly me talking to him. Mostly me telling him things about skip content of Mushoku Tensei anime season. We kept a discussion to season 2 of the anime adaptation, just anime only. I was giving him a lot of like skip content stuff. It was a fun little discussion. I talked way more than I probably should have, but I think he was wanting me to talk more because he kept baiting me to keep talking. And so I kind of just was feeding into his audience rather than me asking him a bunch of questions that obviously his listeners already know. So I did post the Mushoku Tensei specific questions and answers and stuff like that on youtube.com/otakuspirit. The full interview VOD should still at this point, that might change depending on when you listen to this, should still be on his Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/psychotrists. I find the YouTube video on our channel, and the links are in there. It's really hard to actually say. But he has a YouTube channel as well. He's supposed to post, his editor is supposed to post the full VOD there. But yeah, check that out. It was a lot of fun. It was good talking to him. He's a very, very, very smart guy. He, in that episode, was doing analysis of the recent episode of Oshinoko. Really good analysis. He picks it apart. Yeah, he said the same thing about Akane. That is not good. He's like, no, that is the extremely unhealthy relationship. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fun. Like, everybody loves to go, oh, yeah, there's a yandere eye. She's like, I'll kill it too. You're like, but when you sit back and think about it, that's really bad. Because what if something happens to Aqua? And also there's like, anyways, I'm getting back in that. But yeah, check that out. really cool guy. I'm looking forward to hopefully joining him again in the future. Hopefully I'll talk less, but it's probably going to be me telling him more skip content. I was having fun telling him everything skip content. I'm like, dude, you know that he told Roxy his secret? What? Yeah. Telling him the whole thing. He's like, no, really? That fits thematically more if they had it that way. Yeah, I know, right? Did you know Sylphie was a lot more stern with Norn and telling her to shut up and sit down? Really? Yeah, that's so much cooler. Telling about the Warriors of the Desert and Ellen and Elise, and God, it was a lot of fun. So anyways, yeah, check that out. It was a fun little talk. The only bad thing about the VOD is that in the broadcast, I think the gain on my mic through his computer system was bumped up too much, so he wasn't hearing it, but I was going super hot into his recording, and so it's my audio on that's a little messed up, which is funny because we went into a break and he's like, man, you sound really good. I'm like, yeah, I was super hot though, apparently. Super hot. The mic. Anyways, until next time, again, at talkaspirit.com is where all of our links, social media links, ways to get a hold of us, YouTube channel, and everything's there. Greatly appreciate guys' support. For those who are on Patreon, tips, links, super thanks, memberships, all that stuff. Means a great deal to us. And until next time, y'all take care.
Os.